Hey guys, I got a quick update for you, shop update and event update. But what I mean by event is an event that I'm going to be at coming up real soon. So today is the 21st of January. A week from today, being the 28th, I'll be down at Dania Beach, Florida by Lauderdale for the Dania Beach Vintage Motorcycle Show. That is something that I've never been to before. Apparently it's a pretty big show. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the sidecar outfit with me. I reached out to them and asked them about sidecars, and they said they'd be delighted to have sidecars. Apparently they don't have a lot of them, so we're going to go ahead and bring the sidecar down in a trailer. I'm not riding it down, I'm trailering it down. So that's the event update. I'm going to go ahead and put their website right here and also a link to them in the description of the video. So if you're in South Florida or anywhere in the area and you go to that show, yours truly will be there. Look me up. All right, so that's it as far as the event goes. Let me show you what I got going on as far as some shop tools and things like that. First thing we got here is a Z-axis or a Quill DRO for the mill drill machine. I saw on Winky's workshop video a while back, and I'll link to his video in the description if I remember. He put a similar unit on his, which is a similar unit as well, and the mill that is. It's a round column mill. And so I went to look for his because he linked to it. The one he used seemed to fit even better than this, but of course out of stock and can't get them. Supply chain issues, go figure. So I got this from the Amazonian. It's a 6-inch total distance scale. In this case I have the scale fixed. I have the readout mounted as the moving part, and I have it hooked up to the Quill positive stop, measuring doodad here. This is what you'd screw down to a certain point, and you can only go that far because it'll positively stop. I never ever use that, but I do need to know depth of plunge when I do end milling and some drilling operations. I do need a complete XY, X and Y DRO, which I'm going to be hopefully getting here sometime, but that's for another video. But I'm definitely looking at one of those because I think the digital readout is a real good, real good add-on to machines like this. But this is going to help out a lot when I plunge mill and face mill things like that, because then I know exactly pretty much how much material I'm taking off, especially in a precision operation. This will read in imperial in inches and also in millimeters. Pretty simple operation. You turn it on. Right now it's set for millimeters, so we'll hit it on inches. It'll do it fractional as well. So if you hit it again in inches, it'll go over to inches and fractional, like 1 1/16, that sort of thing. Why you'd ever need that, I don't know. Right now it's an imperial, so we just went over, we're at 1.206 inches, or 209 now. And so that works out pretty well. I know it reads negative numbers because we're going down the scale. I don't think you can flip that in this, in this firmware or whatever it has in there. It doesn't matter to me though, because as long as I have the numerical readout, I know what that distance is. I don't care if it says negative, positive, or plus, minus, or squiggly line, or whatever. And it's pretty repeatable as far as going back to 0. If you let the lever go, it'll go back to 0 pretty much. That's within a tenth, or a thousandth rather. So close enough, right? So yeah, I like it. Pretty nice little unit. So that's what I installed this the other day, and I finished it up today. And what I did was this is pretty cool, I think. I like to reuse stuff laying around my work area in my scrap bin and so forth. This is this is a tool rest from a bench grinder, and I think I still have the bench grinder, but I hardly ever use these things. I know you're supposed to, but I hardly ever do. I like to freewheel it. And so this is one of these tool rests. So I took one of these tool rests, which was the right shape, and I just milled out the slot a little bit wider to fit this. And this has got a flat on one side of it, which is nice. So it kind of keeps it from, it clocks it in one position. And then there's 2 nuts already on here, which pinch it in place, clamp it in place. So this comes around a little bit forward, and it was the right length where I just drilled and tapped 2 M3 holes. This is the stock hardware that came with it, and screwed it in. That's also the stock bracket. Normally it does come with a bracket up here and a bracket for down here, but I don't have the need for it. There's no place to hook it up to anyway. So we're going to let this end run wild, and there's wild and free, and so there's no problem with this at all. So I really like it. I haven't used it yet, but I definitely will get some use out of it. So that's pretty cool. I'll put a link in the description where you can get one if you want one. In that last video of the prototype handlebar riser block, you saw me use this, which is a shell mill, and it's pretty nice. Got carbide inserts. I forgot the grade of the carbide, but it is Chinese cheap stuff. But It's a pretty nice unit. Whoa, almost dropped it. That would have been bad. And so it has 5 inserts. It's R8 collet, so it fits my machine with the 7/16 20 thread on the top, which is standard. That's the only time I've used it, and it worked really, really well. I got some extra inserts with it as well, so we have 5x3 is 15 sides there, corners you can use, and then I have 10 more of these inserts, so I've got plenty to go around. I seriously doubt I'll be burning them out anytime soon. Like I said, I can't remember the grade of them, but yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a nice little shell mill, and it's going to serve us well for the kind of work we do around here, at least. I ordered a bunch of these ER32 collets, and I have 2 collet blocks coming. One's a hex and one's a square. And although these are in, standard or in inches, these collet blocks, usually you can find one that'll fit a metric size if I need to. And the whole purpose of these guys is to put it into a collet block, and with a square or the hex shaped one, it's essentially a pattern tool or a pattern holder. And with that pattern holder, you can put it in the mill. And if you need to make a special hex bolt or something, you use the hex block and just spin it around in your vise, and then mill down on the top of the fastener you're making, and you can make that hex. Same thing with the square, you can make some flats. I should have that today, so we'll be able to put those in service real cool. But real soon rather. I really wanted one of those blocks. They had to come from overseas. They're not easy to find, as far as certain sizes. But I found a set of ER32 collets, and luckily another place sold the blocks. So yeah, I wanted to get them from Vivor, which is like this brand of this vise. But they only had the collets. They didn't have the blocks. I don't quite understand that. But anyway, so those are coming as well. I don't mean to bore you, but what I also did was I got myself a boring head for the mill. It has an R8 taper, just like the other tool that I just showed you, that shell mill, and a bunch of different boring inserts, or I should say boring bars for it. The only thing I don't like about it is they're welded carbide, brazed carbide rather, and not inserts. I thought they were insert types, and I kind of screwed up on that. But worst case scenario, I'll have to get a diamond wheel or a diamond cutter, and so I can sharpen carbide. But I think it'll work out pretty well. It was very cost effective, and frankly I could always make boring bars for it as well, and then put a little screw in there and I have a bunch of inserts that fit my other smaller lathe tools. I could probably make one work, but I don't think we're going to have too much of a problem with these for the stuff that I do. I don't see that we're going to be burning them up too much. I don't have to need to use one very often, but when you need a boring head, you need a boring head. So that's pretty cool. This was also a Amazon purchase, so we're talking about Chinese made. But again, another item that I would have loved to purchase from a US maker. I couldn't find it. I can't find the stuff. It's like people don't make it anymore. So I don't know. I'm doing the best I can when it comes to buying American, but you just can't seem to get any stuff anymore. I also recently got this cutoff bandsaw, this horizontal bandsaw from Harbor Freight. This is their, I think it's the only model of this size they have. I couldn't tell you what the model number is. Oh, actually, maybe I can. Now it just says the stats up there on the little tag. But anyway, for the money, let me tell you something. This is an excellent tool. I was really surprised as the quality of this. It's got a freaking 1 horsepower motor, and it'll cut some stock real well. So I'm real happy with it. You saw me use it really quick in that last video on the prototype for the handlebar risers. Naturally, it was cutting aluminum, but even with the blades that come with these things from Harbor Freight, which are typically pretty crappy, which is why I have a Bosch blade for it here, which was recommended by another creator that did an evaluation on this. You can find them all over YouTube. There's a bunch of people that have them, but I watched one particular video. The guy said to get that one, so I did. I'm going to wear this blade out first that came with it, and then we'll go ahead and put that blade on. But yeah, this is a really nice unit for the money, and I'm real pleased with it. So if you want yourself a horizontal bandsaw, and you can't necessarily afford a higher level as far as manufacturing quality and so forth, this is definitely one to check out. I forgot what the price was, but anyway, it was in the $400 and change range or something like that. But definitely something to check out and get, because it makes your life a hell of a lot easier. I got the Z1R covered up mainly to keep dust off of it. Frankly, it's not terribly dusty in here, it really isn't, but you know, it's such a nice finish on that powder coat, you know, that I love so much, that, you know, I just want to keep it as clean as possible. I got it really close right now to getting it out for its first road tests. I can't say when that's going to be, but with my event coming up on next weekend down in South Florida, I do have some prep work to do on that still. And so it's going to take a little time, and I got to shuffle around some wheel chocks in the trailer to accommodate the sidecar rig. And then we'll be able to get back on this. I'll do a little bit of work on it hopefully during this week, and up to and including we have a new Kirker exhaust system to put on it, which I didn't know this is made by Supertrap. So pretty interesting. And so this will be going on. I'm going to put it on just before we get it to the point where it's on the road, because I don't want to run this on the lift anymore. I want to get it off the lift and run it, and then give it a proper shakedown on the road, up and down the street at least, with a couple of roll-on, roll-offs of the throttle. Then bring it back and do some finite tuning. But we have the front calipers installed. We got all new hardware. Not this yet, but most of the stuff that you see is new. Some of it's been I made as far as out of stainless, but I've got these brackets on. These are new reproduction brackets because one was cracked. For the headlight assembly, and also the brake master cylinder reservoir bolt screws on the other side. Here's the brake master cylinder up here. Everything's all painted, and one of these was cracked, so we got a reproduction set of those from a guy up in New Hampshire that sells them on eBay. Pretty reasonable too. So yeah, she's getting real close as far as doing a road test on her. Got the seat inside in a plastic bag. I'm not leaving that out here. Keep it because it's been recovered, and so that's ready to go. The original swing arm is back on it for now. We're still talking about an extended swing arm, but right now we have to get it on the road and shake down the engine the rest of the way. And here's the rear master cylinder. So you know, we're getting really close on this, like I said. And got a chain coming for it. Stock chain length. I got the sprockets in one of the boxes over there, and so we'll at least get it with where it'll go and it'll brake, and you know, not brake, but it'll slow down. In other words, the brakes work. But most of this hardware has been replaced. I'm going to be replacing other hardware as it goes on. Like for example, these banjo bolts. I have new ones of those. I hate when they get all crusty like that. In fact, I'm going to be replacing a couple on the Magna as well because they look so terrible. But bolts like this were unavailable from any parts supplier. These M8s, they're a very special length because of the depth behind there that goes up toward the battery box. So I made these out of stainless. When you make them out of stainless, you use the Allen Milliard method, and you just give them a slim face cut. It takes off the stampings on them so they look like an original bolt. They're very similar to one. So yeah, it worked out pretty well, and the stainless won't rust. These guys I may or may not replace if I can find the shank bolts. These do not take the threaded all the way down the length of it. It takes a shank bolt. Having a hard time finding those in stainless of the right length. So yeah, we're getting there. We're getting real close. So when we do that, see if we can get some video of it. I mentioned before in the other video about the lathe. I'm quite confident that I'm going to have to come up with some way to fund a lathe upgrade. And I don't mean another used one of this era. I mean a brand new one, or at least a very close to brand new one that will do metric threads and has greater precision, and something with like at least a 10-inch swing. This is a 6-inch swing. So I'd like to have a 10-inch swing with both the 3 and the 4 jaw. And most of the newer ones come with a steady and a follow rest. I mean, they're not the greatest quality, but neither is the steady I got. So when that comes, I'll probably do a video after I clean all this up, and we'll get this one on the market for sale. But that's going to be a while from now because I just have to figure out how I'm going to fund it. All right, that's it. You've been updated. I'm just getting over this sinus infection funk right now, so I've been feeling very good the last couple of days. I'm starting to feel better today, so at least it's not next weekend, which again is where I'm going to be down at Dania Beach or Dania Beach, whatever the hell it is, down in South Florida for that show. Yeah, I'll put the website in again right here, and make sure you look in the description. You get that link. You can click and go right to it. Sounds like a really fun time. Again, I'll have the sidecar rig, and what I failed to mention before was when I reached out to them originally and said I have a custom setup as far as the sidecar goes, basically a one-off. They said, "Oh well, people who go to these shows like to see storyboards," and you know what they mean by that is like if you ever go to a car show and there's somebody did like a frame off, like a rotisserie level, with spinning around and frame off restoration of a car, from the bare bones all the way up to built. They generally have like a 3-ring binder or something you can flip through and see the pictures of the build at the different stages. Well, I don't have anything like that, but I do have a lot of photos of it, as you know from my videos on putting a sidecar rig together. So I made a storyboard, which is just essentially on a poster board, the kind that you'd use for your middle school science project. And I have that all ready to go. It's foldable, so it'll actually go inside the sidecar tub, because where I'm staying down there is not very far away from the Frost Park, where this show is at. And so I'll be offloading the sidecar at the hotel from my trailer, and then riding over to the show location. So whatever I bring to the show needs to be in the tub. So that needed to fold up. So I have that all done. I'm going to set it up like on a chair in front of the outfit here, and where we're sitting. We'll be there all day long. I'll be there all day long. Dog can't come with me on this one. It's unfortunate, but he can't. So yeah, if you're in the area, definitely consider coming on down and say that you saw it on my channel.